Once again, very good afternoon, everyone. Everyone fine? Yes. Now, so last class we were discussing about recognition and measurement of financial asset and financial liability. We have completed that part. I hope you have understood. Now we'll start derecognition of financial asset and financial liability. You can see the topic is derecognition of financial asset and financial liability. Okay, sir. So derecognition of financial asset means when to derecognize a financial asset from the books of account. Yes, sir. So what Ind AS 109 says, financial asset will be derecognized if any one of the following condition is satisfied. First, contractual right to receive cash has been expired, means the entire contractual cash has been received. The contractual right to receive cash has been expired. Or or entity has transferred the contractual right to receive cash flow from financial asset. So entity has transferred the contractual right to receive cash from financial asset to some other party, and also transfer substantially all the risk and reward of ownership of such financial asset. So they have transfer contractual right to receive cash, as well as they have also transferred the risk and reward incidental to ownership of such financial asset. Means, can I say that if suppose some receivable has been transferred, so the risk of bad debt is also transferred. So in case of bad debt, the risk will be borne by the other party. So we can derecognize the financial asset from our books of account. Yes, sir. Then point number C, entity retain the contractual right to receive cash flow. So entity retain the contractual right to receive cash flow, but assume contractual obligation to pay cash flow arising from such asset. So as and when it will be received, there will be obligation to transfer contractual cash flow. So what it is saying, कि entity will retain to collect contractual cash flow, but once it is collected, there will be contractual obligation to transfer that cash flow to the other party, and also transfer substantially all the risk and reward of ownership of such asset. Understood? So in this case also we can derecognize the financial asset. Or the entity has not retained any control of the financial asset. Entity has not retained any control of such financial asset. So if any one condition satisfied, then financial asset can be derecognized from books of account. Yes, sir. We have understood. I hope you have understood. So what is the first point? Contractual right to receive cash flow. Contractual right to receive cash flow has been expired. Second point, entity has transferred contractual right to receive cash from such financial asset, and also transfer substantially all the risk and reward incidental to ownership of such financial asset. Point number C, entity retain contractual right to receive cash flow, but assume contractual obligation to pay cash flow arising from such financial asset, and also transfer substantially all the risk and reward r- incidental to ownership of such asset. And point number D, entity has not retained any control of such asset. Yes, sir. I hope you have understood. Now, everyone, what will be the accounting treatment for derecognition of financial asset? So there are some important point we need to understand. Point number one, situation number one, transfer that do not qualify for derecognition. Transfer that do not qualify for derecognition. Sorry, 1 minute. Now, transfer that do not qualify for derecognition means, can I say the control has not, it means the control has not been transferred. Control has been not transferred means the consideration has been received, but it might happen any one of the condition is not satisfied, means this condition has not been satisfied. So then asset cannot be derecognized. So what they are saying, transfer the transfer that do not qualify for derecognition, but the amount of consideration has been received. So it means financial asset cannot be derecognized. So whatever consideration received will be considered as financial liability. Financial liability. But this, I think, check karo, transfer that do not qualify for derecognition, not transfer that qualify transfer that qualify for derecognition. First point is what? Transfer that qualify for derecognition. Transfer which qualify for derecognition. So in this case, first point, for complete derecognition. For complete derecognition, what journal entry will pass? Bank account debit to financial asset, and any difference between these two amount will be transferred to profit and loss as gain or loss on derecognition. So what journal entry? Bank account debit to financial asset. Bank account debit to financial asset. Bank account will be with consideration received and financial asset will be with carrying amount. Any difference in the above journal entry will be transferred to PL. However, can I say if this financial asset is FBTOCI? If this financial asset is FBTOCI, correct now. So it can be either debt instrument or it can be equity instrument. So debt instrument means what? uh, with recycling. Equity instrument means without recycling. So in this case, the cumulative gain or loss which has been accumulated in the equity will be recycled means in this case it will be recycled to PL. In this case it will not be recycled to PL, but it will be transferred to what? Retained earning. I hope you have understood. So that is written only. Any cumulative gain or loss that have been recognized directly in an equity account will be reclassified to PL if that instrument, or transferred retained earning in case of equity instrument. Understood? Correct. Now, if there is a partial derecognition, then if there is a partial derecognition, then so can I say in case of partial derecognition means some portion has been retained and some portion has been transferred. So what Ind AS 109 says, you need to find out the carrying amount of the portion transferred. You need to find out the carrying amount of the portion transferred. So how to find out the carrying amount of the portion transferred? For that, what Ind AS 109 says, first find out the fair value of transferred and retained portion by applying expected yield rate of transferee. By applying expected yield rate of transferee. Correct now. So what they are saying, calculate fair value of transferred and retained portion by applying expected yield rate of transferee. Now expected yield rate will be given the question, so you can find out present value of contractual cash inflow discounted by using expected yield rate. Correct now. So fair value of transferred portion, fair value of retained portion. Correct. This will be total fair value of financial asset. So if not given the question, this will be nothing but present value of contractual cash inflow discounted by using expected yield rate of transferee. We can easily calculate. Now allocate the carrying amount of financial asset. Now we need to allocate the carrying amount of financial asset for transferred portion and retained portion in the ratio of their fair value. Means in this ratio the total carrying amount will be allocated. So we can easily find out carrying amount of transferred portion and carrying amount of retained portion. Correct? Understood. Now what will be the accounting treatment for transferred portion? For transferred portion, it will be bank account debit to financial asset. Can I say bank account means consideration received, that is nothing but fair value, and financial asset will be with carrying amount. Any difference in this journal entry will be transferred to PL. Any difference in this journal entry will be transferred to PL. Understood. The retained portion can be principal portion or it can be interest portion. The retained portion can be principal portion or interest portion. So what Ind AS 109 says कि principal portion and interest portion now will be recognized separately. So what journal entry will pass? Principal strip account debit interest strip account debit, and any servicing asset account debit. So what is the meaning of servicing asset, that I need to explain. The principal strip account debit, interest strip account debit, servicing asset account debit to financial asset, and this will be with allocated carrying amount. Means there will be no difference between these two. There will be no difference in this journal entry, because the carrying amount is only allocated to the above portion. Are you getting? So what is the entry? Principal strip, interest strip, and servicing asset. Servicing asset means what? Whenever the entity provide entity provides some service to transferee. What service? That entity will collect on behalf of transferee. Entity will collect the entire amount on behalf of transferee. Then some collection fee will be charged. Then some collection fee will be charged by what? Entity. So this collection fee is known as servicing asset. Servicing asset means some amount is receivable for collecting the amount. So that is known as servicing asset. So that servicing asset will be also recognized. Servicing asset will be also recognized. Understood? Correct. Yes, sir. Then any difference to be recognized in SOPL? Now, if it is what? If it is what? FBTOCI. So if this financial asset is FBTOCI, then what need to be done? So what they say, accumulative gain or loss that have been recognized in equity account is allocated between the part that continues to be recognized and the part that is de-recognized. Means it will be also allocated to transferred portion and retained portion, based on relative fair value of those parts. So in the ratio of their fair value only. So that will be also allocated in the ratio of their fair value. And any cumulative gain or loss allocated to transferred portion, any cumulative gain or loss which has been allocated to transferred portion will be reclassified to PL if that instrument will be transferred to retained earning if equity instrument. Understood this point? I hope you have understood. Correct? Any doubt? Any doubt? We'll take some question based on this. We'll take. Now, transfer that do not qualify for derecognition. Transfer that do not qualify for derecognition. So what Ind AS 109 says, if the transfer does not result in derecognition. Why? Because the entity has retained substantially all the risk and reward of the ownership of transferred asset. Correct. Then entity sell means the risk and reward is not transferred. Asset has been transferred. Suppose receivable has been transferred, but in case of bad debt, the entire bad debt will be borne by transferor entity. So it means risk and reward has not been transferred. So what Ind AS 109 says, in this case, the asset cannot be de-recognized. So entity cell continue to recognize the transferred asset in its entirety. Means continue to recognize entire asset, and whatever consideration received will be recognized as a financial liability. To recognize the financial liability for the consideration received means will pass one journal entry what bank account debit to financial liability. This financial liability is subsequently recognized at amortized cost using effective interest rate. So this will be recognized at amortized cost by applying effective interest method, and in subsequent period we should recognize any income on transferred asset and any expense incurred on financial liability. Income means interest income, expense means also interest expense, that will be also subsequently recognized. Understood this point? Have you understood this point? Yes, sir. Now, correct. We'll come to this point at the end. Let us take some question. Now, we'll take a question. Question number 33. One question I will explain. A Limited has lent 50,000 yielding 18% interest per annum for 10 years. Yes, sir. So has lent 50,000 yielding 18% per annum interest. The company transferred the right to receive principal rupees 50,000 maturity and right to receive 14% interest per, per year. So out of 18%, 14% interest has been transferred. So how much retained? 4%? Yes, sir. Of the balance 4%, 2% is due to a transferor, that is A Limited, as service fee for collection of principal interest. So 2% is a servicing fee. For that servicing asset will be recognized. Yes, sir. The expected cost of collection, etc., is 400. So expected cost of collection of amount is 400. This will be per year. A Limited has retained the right to receive the remaining 2% per year. So can is 2% is retained, 2% retained. So important accounting entries in the books of A Limited. Assume expected yield rate to be 13%. Means we need to find out the fair value of transferred and retained portion. If not given the question, the fair value is not given. It might happen in your exam question fair value is given, but in this case fair value is not given. Means we need to find out the fair value of what? Transferred and retained portion. So can I say there are interest transferred, principal transferred, interest retained, and servicing fee. Understood? Correct. Now so we need to find out cash inflow. So what is the interest? 14% of 50,000. So there is 7,000 per year. Principal portion is 50,000. Interest retained is 2%. 2% of 50,000 means 1,000. And servicing fee was also 2% of 50,000. That is 1,000. But for servicing fee means there is a collection fee, but they need to also incur collection cost. So deducted by collection cost. So can I say this become net cash flow? Net cash flow. Now we need to find out annuity factor. This is for what? For this is received for 10 year, means 1 to 10 year. This is received only at the end of 10 year. This is for 1 to 10 year. This is for 1 to 10 year. Now we'll find out annuity factor at the rate of 13%. That you can write down. This become what? Present value of what? Present value of contractual cash inflow. Means can I say this to become fair value of portion transferred. This is the fair value of interest retained. This is the fair value of servicing asset. Correct? Understood? Now in this ratio, the carrying amount, the total carrying amount was 50,000. So 50,000 will be allocated in this ratio. So you can see principal transferred, and this total transferred is this much, servicing asset is this much, interest strip is this much, carrying amount is 50,000. This will be allocated in this ratio and this amount will come. Correct? It means can I say this is the carrying amount of portion transferred, this is the fair value of portion transferred, fair value of portion transferred. So what journal entry will do? First journal entry, bank account debit to financial asset. The difference will be what? Gain or loss. So you can see bank account 52,500, financial asset 49,000, 42,902, and a gain which is transferred to PL. Correct? And can I say we need to also recognize these two components. So there is one interest strip, there is one servicing asset. So what journal entry is servicing asset account debit, interest strip account debit to financial asset, that is loan. So this will be recognized at the allocated carrying amount. Allocated carrying amount. I hope you have understood this point. Correct? Very simple. Correct? With one question I have explained you the partial derecognition. Partial derecognition you have understood. Yes sir, we have understood. Yes sir. Then there is one point of continuing involvement of entity in transferred asset. Continuing involvement, correct? Means asset is transferred, but entity is involved in the asset transfer. That is known as continuing involvement in the asset transferred. Correct. When we say continuing involvement, it means what? Key the asset transferred, but some guarantee has been given for the default. Guarantee has been given means this is a question, this is a concept where entity involved, correct now, continuingly in that financial asset. What they want to say, if an entity neither transfer nor retain neither transfer nor retain the risk and reward of the asset and retain the control of transferred asset, the entity continue to recognize the transferred asset to the extent of continuing involvement. Means only to the extent of continuing involvement, which is equal to which is equal to lower of carrying amount of asset transferred the and the amount of guarantee given and the guaranteed amount. Correct now, whichever is lower. So it means in this case entity is entity will continue to recognize the financial asset to the extent of continuing involvement, which will be equal to lower of the carrying amount of asset transfer and the guaranteed amount and the guaranteed amount. Yes, sir. Correct? Yes, sir. Then what they have said? Entity also recognize the associated liability which is initially measured at. Entity will also recognize the associated liability which is initially measured at. This will be equal to guaranteed amount plus fair value of guarantee given, guaranteed amount plus fair value of guarantee given. I will explain this, don't worry. Now the guarantee liability, that is fair value of guarantee, the guarantee liability means this is the fair value of guarantee, shall be amortized to PL over the guaranteed period. So what will be the journal entry that we'll understand from one question? Let us take one question. This question number 34. What they say? Entity C agrees with the factoring company D to enter into debt factoring arrangement. Under terms of arrangement, the factoring company B agreed to pay 91.5 crore less a servicing charge of 1.5 crore, net proceed of rupees 90 crore in exchange for 100% of cash flow from short-term receivable. Correct. So they have transferred at what? 90 means the net proceed is 90 crore. Yes, sir. The receivable has a face value of 100 crore and carrying amount of 95 crore. Okay. The customer will be instructed to pay the amount owed into a bank account of the factoring company. Entity C also write a guarantee to the factoring company under which it will reimburse any credit loss up to 5 crore. It will reimburse any credit loss up to 5 crore. Means guaranteed amount is 5 crore. Over and above, the expected credit loss of rupees 5 crore and losses up to 15 crore are considered reasonably possible. Means losses up to 15 crore is reasonably possible, but then also guarantee was given only up to 5 crore. Correct. The guarantee is estimated to have a fair value of zero point 0.5 crore. Comment. Pass the necessary journal entry. Now just try to understand. Whenever we give guarantee, so I always say nothing is free of cost. So if I have given guarantee, it means some consideration I will charge. So what they say, the consideration charge for guarantee is zero point 0.5 crore. Means out of 90 crore, can I say zero point 0.5 crore has been received for guarantee and 89.5 crore is for the transferred asset. Are you able to understand what I am saying? Correct. So can I say the first journal entry will what? For de-recognition of asset. The journal entry is what? Bank account debit. How much received for transferred asset? 89.5 to financial asset. What is the carrying amount? 95. So what is gain transferred to PL? It is 95 minus 89.5 is equal to 5.5. Correct. Then what Ind AS 109 says, we need to also recognize the continuing involvement asset. So we'll recognize continuing involvement asset. Correct. To associated liability. Correct. And this asset will be recognized at what amount? This asset will be recognized at what amount? At amount carrying amount of asset transferred and amount of guarantee whichever is lower. So can I say whichever is lower is 5 crore. So this asset will be recognized at 5 crore. Correct now. So what is the meaning of this? In case of bad debt, 5 crore need to be paid to the transferee. So this much asset will not be de-recognized. And if the amount received, can I say this will be a liability which need to be paid? Correct now. Are you getting? So this much asset will not be de-recognized. But can I say if the amount is collected, then can I say the amount collected belong to the transferee only. Belong to the transferee. Correct. And also they have said whatever we have received for the guarantee given, but how much we receive for guarantee given? Bank account debit 0.5 that will not be recognized as an income right now, that will be deferred, and that will be also associated liability. Associated liability means it will be a pre-receive income. It will be pre-receive income. So the total liability become what? Total liability become what? The amount of guarantee. The amount of guarantee plus what? Plus fair value of guarantee given. Now this 0.5 will be recognized in PL over the guaranteed period. Over the guaranteed period. Correct now on a systematic basis. So this 0.5 will not be recognized immediately to PL. It will be transferred to PL over the guaranteed period. To initially it will be considered as liability. So total liability become this plus this. We can now compound one journal entry, and the compound journal entry will what? Check करेंगे. Compound journal entry will what? Check कीजिए. Can I say cash account debit 90 crore? Correct. And continuing involvement asset 5 crore. Can I say financial asset derecognized 95? Associate liability 5.5, and the difference is what? Loss on recognition, which will be transferred to PL, that is 5.5. I hope you have understood this point. Any doubt? This question is expected. This question is expected due for exam, means this question can anytime be asked in exam. Have you understood this point? Bolo. Yes sir, we understood. Correct? Yes sir. So with this we completed derecognition of financial asset. Derecognition of financial asset over. Now we'll come to the derecognition of financial liability. Derecognition of financial liability. So what Ind AS 109 says, a financial liability will be derecognized when such liability is extinguished. Correct now. So when it is extinguished, that is when obligation is either discharged, paid, or cancelled. Cancel now means waived, or exchange means has given to someone, or modified, so can you say for these three no explanation required? For the first three no explanation required. It will be derecognized when the liability is discharged or cancelled, or what, or what, exchange. Modified, when the liability is modified, then what need to be done? So we need to do a special discussion of modification liability. Modification liability, this is also known as what? This is also known as strategic debt restructuring. Strategic debt restructuring. So normally what happen, loan terms, loan whatever we have taken from bank, the loan terms and conditions may be modified after some year. So what will be journal entry on the date of modification of any loan? That is known as strategic debt restructuring. Correct now. So what Ind AS 109 says, keep modification of terms, modified terms, if the modification of terms of borrowing is substantially different from original terms, then will follow extinguishment accounting. And if it is not substantially different from original term, then will follow modification accounting. Means Ind AS 109 has suggested two type of accounting for modification. One is extinguishment accounting, one is modification accounting. Extinguishment accounting means what? Old liability will be derecognized and new liability will be recognized due to modification. Modification accounting means what? Old liability, the carrying amount will be adjusted. The carrying amount of existing liability or old liability will be adjusted. Will be adjusted. That is modification accounting. But when to follow extinguishment accounting, when to follow modification accounting, that we need to understand. So what Ind AS 109 says, कि modification of terms of borrowing are substantially different from original term. So what is the meaning of substantially? Normally Ind AS does not define the term substantially, but in this case Ind AS 109 has given a guidance on the meaning of substantial, means when modified terms will be substantial, when modified terms will not be substantial, for that guidance is given. So what is that guidance? The terms are substantially different if the terms are substantially different if present value, means if present value, point number A, present value of cash flow under modified terms, present value of cash flow under modified terms, and any fee paid discounted by using original EIR, discounted by using original EIR, less point number B, present value of remaining cash flow, present value of remaining cash flow under original means under original term discounted by using original EIR. Means this is nothing but carrying amount of financial liability on the date of modification is greater than or equal to 10% of B, is greater than or equal to 10% of B. Means I can say in this way कि A minus B is greater than or equal to 10% of B, then modified terms are substantial. Are you able to understand what I'm saying? Now this A minus B will be always taken as absolute amount. Absolute amount means this A minus B is coming in negative, so we'll take the absolute amount for this equation. Are you getting? So once again, what is the meaning? What is A? A means present value of cash flow, under modified terms plus legal fee paid discounted by using original EIR. What is B? Present value of cash flow, remaining cash flow under original term discounted by using original EIR. Be careful, in both A and B it is original EIR. Understood? I hope you understood. Correct. So if terms are substantially different, then we'll follow which accounting? Extinguishment accounting. So what is the meaning of extinguishment accounting? Let us understand. So what Ind AS 109 says, in case of extinguishment accounting, it will it will be followed when modified terms of borrowing are substantially different. So that we have understood. Correct now. Now in this, it is the de-recognition of existing liability and recognition of new liability at fair value. So new liability will be recognized at fair value. Now, what is the fair value of new liability? The fair value of new liability is the present value of contractual cash flow as per modified terms discounted by using market rate of interest for similar loan on the date of modification. Market rate of interest. So now, whatever present value you are calculating for new liability, that will be calculated by using market rate of interest. If market rate of interest is not given, then we'll always assume, if market rate of interest is not given in question, then we'll assume that modification is at market terms. Modification is at market terms. Then modified rate of interest will be equal to what? Market rate of interest. Are you getting what I am saying? Yes, sir, we are understanding. So it might happen question has not given market rate of interest on the date of modification. So it means modification has been done at market terms. It means modified rate of interest will be equal to market rate of interest. Yes, sir. Then we'll find out gain or loss. So gain or loss will be equal to what? It will be equal to what? Fair value of new liability, add any legal fee paid minus carrying amount of older liability. This will be gain or loss, which will be transferred to PL. Then we'll also understand modification accounting. But let me do one question based on modification. Modification for extinguishment accounting. Now, question number 40. On 1st Jan 2020, XYZ Limited issued 10-year bonds for 10 lakh, bearing interest at a rate of 10% payable annually on 31st December each year. Okay. On 1st Jan 2020, the bonds are redeemable on 31st December 2009 for rupees 10 lakh. No cost of fees or income, means there is no transaction cost. It means there is no transaction cost. Means can I say EIR will be equal to agreed rate of interest. So effective interest rate is therefore 10%. So if there is no discount, no premium, no transaction cost, it means agreed rate of interest will become EIR. Correct? If you want to write down. If there is no discount, no premium, no transaction cost, it means agreed rate of interest will become EIR. Yes, sir. On 1st Jan 2005, this will be the date of modification. XYZ Limited and the bondholder agree to a modification in accordance with which the terms is extended to 31st December 2011. The terms was extended to 31st December 2011. Correct? Understood? So initially it was up to 2009. Now it was extended by how many year? 2 year. Interest payment are reduced to 5%. So interest payment are reduced to 5%. The bonds are redeemable on 31st December 2011. Make one changes. This will be 2011 for rupees 15 lakh. The redemption value has been changed. Yes, sir. Legal and other fees are 1 lakh incurred on the date of modification. This is legal fee paid. This is not transaction cost. This is a legal fee paid for the modification. Legal fee paid for the modification. This is not transaction cost. This is not transaction cost. This is a legal fee paid for the modification. XYZ Limited determined that market interest rate on 1st Jan 2005 for the borrowing is at similar term is 11%. Record journal entry in the books of XYZ Limited to give this effect. Understood? Yes, sir. Means as per the new term, the remaining year will be 7 year. Interest payment will be 5% and redemption value will be 15 lakh. 15 lakh. So let us do the answer for this. Yes, correct. So let us find out the answer for this. Can we start? Everyone. Now, this is the question. You can see. Now, first we'll do analysis of substantial different term. So in that we need to find out A and B. So what is A? A is equal to present value of contractual cash flow under modified terms and legal fee paid discounted by using original EIR. Original EIR is 10%. Okay, sir. Yes, sir. So we'll find out present value of contractual cash flow to interest portion, principal portion. So now modified terms is 5% interest, 5% 10 lakh for the next 7 year. So we'll do discounting of 50,000. We'll find out annuity factor at the rate of 10% for how many years? 7 years. So this will be 50,000 multiplied by this. This will be present value of interest portion. Then we'll also find out present value of principal portion. So now principal portion to be redeemed is 15 lakh. 15 lakh will find out present value factor at at the end of 7 year for how many? What is the rate? 10%. So this will be equal to 7,69,800. This become what? Total present value of the modified loan. Modified loan at original EIR. Correct? Yes, sir. Discounted by using original EIR. Then in this we'll add legal fee paid. To legal fee paid is given 1 lakh. So this is the total what? Total A. So this is total A. Now this need to be compared with the present value of remaining contractual cash flow under original terms discounted by using original EIR, which is nothing but carrying amount, which is nothing but carrying amount of original liability, which will be equal to 10 lakh only. Correct now? So carrying amount of existing liability on 1/1/2005 is equal to 10 lakh. Means whenever interest rate and agreed rate are same, means whenever EIR and agreed rate are same, then can I say the initial liability and closing balance will be same. Why? Because 10 lakh you will do plus 1 lakh, then minus 1 lakh is equal to 10 lakh every year. So carrying amount will be equal to 10 lakh. Yes, sir. The difference between these two is equal to 1,13,220. And what is the 10% of B? 10% of B is what? 1 lakh. So can you say A minus B is greater than 10% of B? Means modified terms are substantially different. Therefore, we need to apply extinguishment accounting. Therefore, we need to apply extinguishment accounting. Have you understood this point? Understood? Correct? Any doubt? Have you understood this point? Yes, sir, we have understood. Correct now. So modified terms are substantially different. Therefore, we'll follow extinguishment accounting. Yes, sir. Now we'll find out calculation of fair value of new liability. Now fair value of new liability will be calculated by using market rate of interest, that is 11%. So we'll find out present value of contractual cash flow under modified terms discounted by using market rate of interest, that is 11%. So interest portion 50,000 discounted at the rate of 11% for 7 years will be this amount. We'll also find out principal portion. So we'll do 15 lakh multiplied by discounting factor at the rate of 11%. This amount. So this will be the fair value of new liability. The fair value of new liability. Correct. Now we'll find out the gain or loss. The gain or loss will be fair value of new liability plus legal fee paid minus carrying amount of original liability. This will be gain or loss, which will be transferred to PL. So what journal entry will do on the date of modification? 10% bond or 10% bond old will be de-recognized, and a new liability 5% bond will be recognized at fair value, and to bank whatever we have paid, and difference will be what loss, that will be transferred to PL. Now we'll calculate interest expense on the new liability, based on 11%. 11% is what EIR now. 11% is the EIR. So we calculate 11% of 9,58,160 to interest expense to 5% bond. And whatever has been paid, that is how much paid, the paid payment amount 50,000, that is reduction in liability. So that is 5% bond to bank. This journal entry will be continued for the next 7 years. So entire journal entry also done. Have you understood this point? Yes, sir, we have understood. I hope you have understood this point. Yes, sir. This point have you done? Correct. Now coming to the modification accounting. So when we'll follow modification accounting, if modified terms are not substantially different from original term, then we'll follow modification accounting. Now Ind AS 109 is silent about modification accounting, means they have not given any accounting treatment to be applied for modification accounting. Therefore, because of that reason, ICAI has given two approach. Means this is given by ICAI has given two alternative accounting. Either of these can be followed for modification accounting. They have given first approach. What they have said: any fee or cost incurred, means legal fee or cost incurred, will be also recognized in PL, means that will be charged to PL, ठीक है. Liability will be restated at discounted present value of the remaining cash flow under modified terms at discounted by using original EIR. Means liability will be restated, which will be equal to present value of contractual cash flow under modified terms discounted by using original EIR. Correct. And any difference between carrying amount of liability and restated liability will be transferred to PL. So any difference between carrying amount of liability and restated amount of liability is recognized in PL. Understood? I hope you have understood. Then can I say, then once you have restated liability, now interest expense for the few for the next year, means at the end of the year, will be recognized at original year only. Original year. So you can see we are using original year. So in this case, will not change our EIR. Yes, sir. Second approach they have given, which I feel is more better. I feel more better. You can follow approach number one. The second is what? The fee or cost incurred will be deducted from the carrying amount of the liability, from the existing liability. So any fee paid will be considered as payment. So that will be deducted from liability, existing liability. Correct? Understood? And now we'll compute new EIR. So what they said, the effective interest rate will be recalculated. Effective interest rate will be recalculated, which is nothing but this will be the discount rate at which present value of future cash flow under modified terms will be equal to adjusted carrying amount after adjusted carrying amount mentioned above, means after this deduction, adjusted carrying amount mentioned above. Means here we need to recompute EIR. We need to recompute here. So in this you can see we have not recognized any gain or loss right now. So gain or loss is also deferred. Gain or loss is also deferred. So amortization of gain or loss on the date of modification, means we are just deferring it. In this case, we are recognizing gain or loss on the date of modification. This is the difference between approach number one and approach number two. Anyone you can do it. Anyone you can follow. Understood? So now the next point is what? debt for equity instrument. Debt for equity instrument means what? Ki the financial liability is extinguished by allotment of equity share, by issue of equity shares. In that case, what will be the journal entry that we need to understand? What Ind AS 109 says, equity instrument which is issued to a creditor to extinguish a financial liability are recognized initially at fair value of equity instrument issued unless fair value cannot be measured reliably. Means what will be journal entry? Journal entry will be financial liability to equity. Correct? This financial liability will be at carrying amount, equity will be at fair value of equity instrument, and difference will be recognized in profit and loss. Understood? Yes, sir. What they said, if the fair value of equity instrument issued cannot be reliably measured, then equity instrument shall be measured to reflect the fair value of financial liability extinguished. So when you have fair value of financial liability extinguished on the date of extinguishment, that amount, by that amount equity will be credited. Correct? Now, so what is the fair value of financial liability extinguished? It is nothing but present value of contra cash outflow discounted at what? Discounted at market rate of interest on that date. Market rate of interest on that date. Understood? Yes, sir. The difference between the carrying amount of financial liability extinguished and the consideration paid. Consideration paid means the equity instrument shall be recognized in PL. Shall be recognized in PL. Understood? Yes, sir. Correct. So this was the derecognition of financial liability. But from this, I will say this is the important topic. The extinguishment accounting is important topic. I would like to take one more question for extinguishment accounting, which I feel the question in exam. Correct. Question number 42. Question number 42. Will company limited borrowed borrowed how much? This is 50 crore from a bank on 1st Jan 2001. The original terms of the loan were as follow: interest rate 11%, repayment of 5 equal installment, payment of interest annually on accrual basis, upfront processing fee. Means the borrowing will be initially recognized at what? Transaction fair value minus transaction cost. Yes, sir. Effective interest rate given. Thank you very much. Why effective interest rate? Because there was a transaction cost. Yes. On 31st December 2002, Will Company Limited approached the bank citing liquidity issue in meeting the cash flow required for immediate installment and renegotiated terms of the loan with the bank as follow. So on 31st December 2002, so can I say it means first year payment done, because first year is 31st December 2001 payment done. 31st December 2002 they approach the bank, means payment not done. Yes, sir. So interest rate will become 15%. Repayment of outstanding principal. Repayment of outstanding principal means, can I say, out of 50 lakh, out of 50 crore. This is 50 crore. Okay. Out of 50 crore, can I say 10 crore has been paid? So this 10 crore is not yet paid, means outstanding principal amount is what? 40 crore. Means one thing is clear, that interest of these and this has been paid. So on 31st December 2002, it is understood fact from the question that interest has been paid. So which point it is understood, because they have said ki repayment of outstanding principal amount. Repayment of outstanding principal amount means on 31st December 2002 the principal component was not paid, interest portion was paid. Yes, sir. Correct. In 10 equal installments starting on 31st December 2003. Payment of interest on an annual basis. Yes, sir. Record journal entry. Now, for modification, you can see they have not given market rate of interest. So we'll assume that this interest rate is equal to what? Market rate of interest. Market rate of interest. I hope you have understood. Let us do this question. Good question, I will say. Correct? Yes, sir. 1 minute. So let us do it. This is the question. Most expected question. Yes, sir. So can I say first we'll do analysis of substantial different term. Yes, sir. We'll find out present value of contractual cash flow or modified terms using what? Original discount rate means original EIR. Yes, sir. Original EIR. So you can see what we need to find out modified cash flow. Modified cash flow. So for how many year? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Starting from 31st December 2003. Yes, sir. So they said outstanding principal amount in 10 installment to 40 divided by 10, so it will be what? 4 crore every year. And we do also calculate interest expense at a rate of 15%. So can I say 40 into 15%? First will be 6 and then it will be calculated. I hope you are understanding. Then present value is calculated at original EIR. So this is the present value and this become present value of contractual cash flow under modified term, and there is no legal fee paid. So this become point number A. Yes, sir. Now this will be compared with present value of remaining contractual cash flow under original term discounted by using this, which will be equal to carrying amount of existing liability. But can I say in this case, because EIR is given, me to find out the carrying amount of existing liability, which is nothing but, can I say, opening obligation is this. This is nothing but 50 crore minus transaction cost. Then we'll add interest expense in this. Then we'll minus what? First year contractual payment. First year contractual payment. Yes, this contractual cash obligation was what? Check करेंगे what was the contractual cash obligation. तो can I say 50 crore was payable in 5 equal annual installment with interest annually at the rate of what? At the rate of, at the rate, what was the rate of interest? The rate of interest was how much? 11%. So that is 5.5. So it will become 15.5. So 15.5 crore was paid. 15.5 crore was paid. Correct. So this is the carrying amount as on 31st 12 2001. Then once again we'll calculate interest at the rate of 11.5%. 11.5%. Then contractual cash outflow is only interest portion. This is understood from the information given the question. So interest portion was paid, that was 4 crore 40,000 as per agreed rate of interest. This become the outstanding. This become the carrying amount of the existing liability. So this will be compared with A minus B will be this amount, 10% of B will be this amount, and A minus B is more than this amount. Therefore will follow extinguishment accounting. Therefore will follow extinguishment accounting. I hope you have understood, correct? Now we'll find out the fair value of new liability. The fair value of new liability will be equal to present value of modified terms discounted by using market rate of interest. And can I say because market rate of interest is 15%, then the present value will be equal to what? 40 crore only. The present value, if you want to calculate, but there is no need to calculate. Correct now. The present value will be equal to 40 crore because why? Because EIR means the agreed rate of interest and the market rate of interest are same. Yes, sir. 40 crore. Yes, sir. This also we understood. Now we'll find out gain or loss on the date of recognition. So gain or loss will be what? Fair value of new liability, legal expense paid, which is nil, minus carrying amount. So this is the gain or loss which will be transferred to PL. Of course, this is loss. Accounting treatment you can do very easy. Very easy. Yes, sir. We have understood. So in that case, in this question, I just want to inform you that they have said कि outstanding principal amount. From that point we have understood that interest of second year for original liability has been paid. Interest portion of the second year for the original liability has been paid. Have you understood this point? Yes, sir. We have understood. Correct? Yes, sir. Correct? Any doubt? No doubt? No doubt. Now we'll come to the next point, impairment of financial asset. Impairment of financial asset, this I am expecting in the exam. This is one question is expected. One question is pakka expected. Impairment of financial asset. Correct. Financial asset, not asset. Impairment of asset we have done under India's 36. That was for PP, investment property, investment in associate joint venture subsidiaries, ROU asset held by lessee. Correct now. Are you getting what I'm saying? And also for intangible asset. So here it is for financial asset. But for which financial asset? What India's 109 says, an entity shall recognize a loss allowance for expected credit loss, a loss allowance for expected credit loss on the following: a financial asset that is measured at amortized cost, a financial asset that is measured at FBTOCI but only debt instrument, not equity instrument. And a lease receivable, तो impairment of lease receivable is also covered यहाँ पर. Impairment of lease receivable is also covered here. तो when we have done Ind AS 116, so we have said that impairment of lease receivable will be covered under Ind AS 109. Lease receivable, correct? Yes, sir. It means financial asset which are measured FBTPL and asset which are measured FBTOCI are not required to be tested for impairment. Why? Because can I say they are already valued at fair value, so no further impairment is required. Then sir, why financial asset that is measured FBTOCI, that instrument is impaired? Can I say this impairment we are doing from the point of view of contractual cash inflow, correct? Contractual cash inflow. So can you see this FBTPL and FBTOCI equity instrument has no contractual cash inflow, but all these three have contractual cash inflow. So if it is already impaired based on fair value, it does not mean there cannot be further impairment. Means when I say PP, so in case of PP, we have calculated value in use that was based on that was based on future cash flow, and one was based on fair value less cost to sale. So in case of PP also, the recoverable amount was calculated as higher of this. So here also when we say impairment should be based on fair value and contractual cash inflow now. Expected contractual cash inflow. So can you say in this case amortized cost, it no fair value, only contractual cash flow. Financial asset that is measured fair value through OCI, there is fair value as well as contractual cash inflow. Lease receivable, there is a contractual cash inflow. So can these we are impairing on the basis of contractual cash inflow, not on the basis of fair value, not on the basis of fair value. I hope you have understood what I am saying. Yes, sir. What is credit loss allowance? What is credit loss allowance? So what Ind AS 109 says, कि for financial asset, credit loss allowance is the present value of difference between present value of A minus B, we can say. Present value of A minus B. So what is A? A is equal to contractual cash flow that are due to an entity, contractual cash flow that are due to entity under a contract. And B is what? Contractual cash flow that entity expect to receive, correct now. So contractual cash flow that are due to be received under a contract minus cash flow that the entity expected to receive. Or I can say in this way, it is nothing but cash flow not expected to receive, not expected to be received, correct? So we need to find out present value of cash flow which are not expected to be received under a contract, discounted by using original EIR. Discounted by using original EIR. This is also important. Discounted by using original EIR. So this is what expected credit loss. This is known as expected credit. So now how to calculate credit loss allowance? Amount of credit loss allowance. This is what equal to ECL, expected credit loss. Correct. So what will be the amount of credit loss allowance? So what they said, if it is 12-month ECL, 12-month expected credit loss. So what is 12-month expected credit loss? What is lifetime expected credit loss? I will inform you. But what I am saying, if we are calculating for 12-month ECL, then credit loss allowance will be ECL multiplied by PD. PD means probability of default in the next 12 months. This probability of default will be given in the question, nothing to worry, correct now. If lifetime ECL, then credit loss allowance will be ECL multiply by probability of default over lifetime. Now just try to understand, this is what, suppose the 12 month from reporting date, but the entire life is this 5 year. Now, if you're using lifetime ECL, then you need to find out probability of default during his lifetime. And when you are using 12-month ECL, then you need to find out probability of default in 12 months. Means can I say whenever there is what? Low risk, so we'll go for 12 months. When there is a high risk, can I say we'll take lifetime. We'll take lifetime ECL. Are you getting what I'm saying, sir? So we need to now understand when to use 12-month ECL, when to use lifetime ECL. Are you able to understand? Can I say this ECL you can easily calculate? This probability of default will be given the question, so you can easily calculate credit loss allowance. Now when to use 12-month, when to use lifetime ECL. So what Ind AS 109 says, if the financial asset is a trade receivable or lease receivable or a contract asset, correct now. So if it is trade receivable, lease receivable or a contract asset, then always measure lifetime expected credit loss. Always measure lifetime expected credit loss, means some relaxation has been given for trade receivable, for lease receivable, that you are not supposed to go for 12 month and lifetime in every year. Always calculate lifetime expected credit loss. Why? Because life of this is known and it is what? Very small. Also trade receivable, can I say life will be what, 6 month or 12 month or 1 year, more than, not more than that. But what a relaxation has been given, ki we can use lifetime expected credit loss. If the answer is no, means these are other than trade receivable, lease receivable or contract asset, then we need to find out, has the credit risk increased significantly for that financial asset? Means credit risk has increased significantly, has increased significantly. If the answer is yes, then once again we'll apply lifetime expected credit loss. If the answer is no, then we'll apply 12-month ACL. 12-month ACL means what Ind AS 109 has given. They have given three-stage approach. Three-stage approach. But this three-stage approach is not applicable to trade receivable, lease receivable and contract asset, for which lifetime ECL is measured. So this three-stage approach is only for other financial assets. Stage number one, credit risk has not increased significantly since initial recognition. Means credit risk has not increased significantly since initial recognition. Means can I say, I will say they are good debtor. Good debtor. So for good debtor, can I say we should not recognize any what, impairment loss, correct now. But then also they are saying always there is some probability of default even though they are good debtor, correct. Therefore we recognize 12-month ECL, means we'll find out the probability of default in the next 12 months. Probability of default in the next 12 months, correct now. Then we'll measure 12-month ECL. And in this case, interest income will be always recognized on gross amount, means not on net amount. When I say net amount, means net of allowance, net of allowance. Yes, sir. Then stage number two, credit risk has increased significantly. Now credit risk has increased significantly since initial recognition, means now they become doubtful debtor. Doubtful debtor. So of course now we'll apply lifetime ECL. Lifetime ECL. So recognize lifetime ECL means we'll find out probability of default in their lifetime. Correct. Interest income will also be recognized on gross amount. Here also gross amount, here also gross amount. Yes, sir. But stage number three means now it become a bad debtor. Bad debtor means credit impaired financial asset, means now you have an evidence that amount may not be received. This is known as credit impaired financial asset. So here also recognize lifetime ECL, but interest income will be recognized on net amount. On net amount. Understood this point? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what Ind AS 109 says, what Ind AS 109 says, ki there is a rebuttable presumption. There is a rebuttable presumption that credit risk on financial asset has increased significantly since initial recognition when contractual payment are more than 30 days past due. Means if they are overdue for more than 30 days, if they are overdue for more than 30 days, then we say that credit risk has increased significantly since initial recognition. Then we'll measure lifetime ECL. Lifetime ECL. Understood? I hope you have understood. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Accounting treatment. If financial assets are measured at AC, amortized cost, then journal entry will be PL account debit to credit loss allowance. If it is FBT then journal entry will be what? PL account debit to OCI reserve, OCI fair value reserve. Are you getting? So PL account debit to OCI fair value reserve means already it has been impaired by applying fair value. Correct. Now already it might be impaired. So the adjustment will be done with what? OCI. Adjustment will be done with OCI. Hope you have understood this point. Yes, sir. Let us take some question. Question number 46. Company M, manufacturer, has a portfolio of trade receivable of 30 million in 2001 and operates only in one geographical region. The customer base consists of large number of small clients and the trade receivable are categorized by common risk characteristics that are representative of customer abilities to pay all amount due in accordance with the contractual term. The trade receivable do not have significant financing component in accordance with Ind AS 115. Okay. In accordance with Ind AS 109, the loss allowance for such trade receivable is always measured at an amount equal to lifetime ECL. Lifetime ECL, yes sir. Please use the following information of debtor outstanding. Current, correct. Gross carrying amount means the due on current date is 15 lakh. Correct, means it is currently due. 1 to 30 days past due is 75 lakh. 31 to 60 days past due 40 lakh. 61 to 90 days past due is 25 lakh. More than 90 days past due is what? 10 lakh. The total amount is 30 lakh. But can I say in this case though always will measure lifetime ECL? Yes sir. Company M following default rate for making provision. So they have used the following default rate. If it is current, then probability means I said now probability of default rate is given. That is this is already given. Already given? Yes sir. The probability default rate is given. Understood? Yes sir. Correct. Determine the expected credit loss for the portfolio. To determine the expected credit loss for the portfolio. So can you say default rate is already given? Correct. And you have the gross carrying amount. So lifetime expected credit loss, lifetime expected credit loss allowance will be gross carrying amount minus lifetime expected credit loss rate. Lifetime expected credit loss rate. Are you getting what I'm saying? Correct. So they have given default rate. Default rate. They have given default rate. Are you getting what I'm saying? Yes, sir. So simply multiply 15 lakh into 0.3%. This will come. This multiply by this. This will come. And this amount is what? This amount will be what? Credit loss allowance. Credit loss allowance. Understood? Correct. Have you understood this point? Yes, sir. Let me take one more question. On 1st April 2017, A Limited lent 2 crore to a supplier in order to assist them with their expansion plan. The arrangement of the loan cost to the company 10 lakh. So this is what cost to the company 10 lakh. So this will be added transaction cost. The company has agreed not to charge interest on this loan to help the support of short-term cash flow, but expected the supplier to pay 2.5 crore on 31st March 2019. As calculated by finance team of the company, the effective annual rate of interest 6.9%. On 28 Feb 2018, the company received the information that poor economic climate has caused the suppliers significant problem, and in order to help them, the company agreed to reduce the amount payable by them on 31st March 2019 to rupees 2.20 crore. So can I say now it become 2.20 crore? Suggests the accounting treatment as per Ind AS. Suggests the accounting treatment as per Ind AS. Once again, what they have said. The company received the information that poor economic climate has caused the suppliers significant problem, and in order to help them, company agreed to reduce the amount repayable by them to rupees 2.20 crore. 2.20 crore. Such is the accounting entry as per Ind AS 109 means. I'll just explain you, just try to understand. So on 1st April 2017, correct. Can I say because they have lent a loan, so will write on to bank, it will be fair value plus transaction cost, fair value plus transaction cost, that is 2 crore 10 lakh, correct. So it will be 2.10, 2.10, yes sir. Then interest into calculated 6.9%. So on 31st March 2018, to interest, it will be 2.10 into 6.9%, that is, can I say 0.1449. And on 31st March 2018, by bank, because no contractual payment was there, no contractual payment was there, so this will be carried down. Carried down will be how much? Is equal to 2.2449. 2.2449. I hope you are understanding what I am doing. Correct? Understood? Yes, sir. This much understood? Yes, sir. Now, can you say on which date they have approached? On 28th Feb 2018. On 20th Feb 2018. Correct now. So on 20th Feb 2018 means on this date only, on 31st March 2018, you need to now think about expected credit loss. Expected credit loss. Correct? Understood? Yes, sir. So expected credit loss will be what? Will be present value of cash flow not expected to be received, not expected to be received. Correct? So present value of what? So what was the amount to be received under original term 2.40, and now they are expected to be received 2.20. So it will be 2.40 minus 2.20 discounted by using original EIR, discounted by using original EIR, and can you say this will be received within 1 year? Yes sir, correct now. So not to be received within 1 year is how much? So this will be what? 0.20 multiplied by what? Multiplied by original EIR, and this is receivable at the end of next year. So can you say this will be what? 1.0 means 1.069, how much into 0.9354. So this will be 0.9354 into 0.20 is equal to what? 0.1870. So this much should be recognized as expected credit loss, and we are assuming that probability of default is 100%. If nothing is given now, we'll always assume this is the last stage, means probability of default will be 100%. If nothing has been given, so we'll assume what? 100%, and this much impairment loss should be charged, 0.1870. Let's see what they have given. तो 0.1870, चलो चेक करो. तो 18,69,000, it is in full amount. So you can also calculate by way of full amount. So this much impairment loss will be charged. So what journal entry will do? What journal entry will do? Profit and loss account to expected credit loss, yeah, credit loss allowance with this amount. Have you understood this point? I hope you have understood. Correct. Yes, sir. Correct. Any doubt? Yes, sir. Have you understood this point? Yes, sir, we have understood. One more question I will take on this. Question number 48. An entity purchased a debt instrument with a fair value of rupees 1000 on 15 March 2001 and major debt instrument at fair value through OCI. Yes, sir. The instrument has an interest rate of 5% over contractual term of 10 years and 5% effective interest rate. Okay, okay. At initial recognition, the entity determined that asset is not purchased or original credit impaired asset. Means it was not a impaired asset. It was not a credit impaired asset. Yes, sir. On 31st March 2001, the fair value of debt instrument has decreased to 950 as a result of change in the market interest rate. The, the entity determined that there has not been a significant increase in credit less since initial recognition, and ECL should be measured at an amount equal to 12-month ECL, which amount to rupees 30 lakh. Means they have given ECL which is amount to rupees 30. Amount to rupees 30? Yes, sir. On 1st April 2001, the entity decided to sell the debt instrument for rupees 950, which is their fair value on that date. Pass journal entry for recognition, impairment, sale of debt as per Ind AS 109. Entry relating to interest income is not to be provided. Well, I ignore entries related to interest income. So we'll ignore it. Okay, sir. Nothing to worry. Correct? So first, can I say first journal entry will be financial asset account debit to bank 1000. 1000. Then on 31st March 2001, can I say 950 was the fair value? 950 was the fair value? Correct. So what journal entry we can do in this way? Ki first we'll pass journal entry because it was 950. So first we'll do OCI account debit to financial asset by 50. And then we can do impair means uh, credit loss allowance which is debited to PL account to OCI. We can do this journal entry also by rupees 30. Or we can compound these two journal entry because that has been done on the same date. So they have compounded journal entry. Impairment expense 30, OCI will be debited by 20, and financial asset is 50. I hope you have understood this fine. Correct. Then on sale, can I say now financial asset is coming at 90. Now financial asset is coming in 950. So there is bank account debit to financial asset, and OCI will be reclassified to what? OCI will be reclassified. First, we need to understand whether it's debt instrument or equity instrument. So this is debt instrument. So that will be reclassified to PL. That will be reclassified to PL. So it is PL account debit to OCI that will be reclassified to PL. I hope you have understood. Correct. So with this we have also covered impairment of financial asset. Impairment of financial asset is also covered. Correct. Now, means almost all the important topic I have covered from examination point of view. Of course, whatever I have not done, it does not mean question will not come from this. But major topic I have done. Major topic I have done. Now, tomorrow we'll continue this chapter. We'll take derivative financial instrument, and there are some miscellaneous topic also. Correct now. That need to be understood from examination point of view. Correct. So for today, this much only. Thank you very much. We'll meet tomorrow. Bye bye. Take care. Enjoy your remaining day.